Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups, and I'm going live twice today, doubling down on the Breakup Podcast here with No More Mr. Nice Guy book review by Dr. Robert Glover. It's a book I recommend a lot, and in the interest of giving more content, making more videos that are helpful and useful to people in breakups. And this is one of those ones, it's just a good book overall. It's a classic book. Everyone that I've ever recommended to it has gotten a lot out of it. So I'm going to comb through it. I've talked about it before. I don't know if I've talked about it at the length. I'm going to talk about it now. I have some notes on it that are pretty detailed that I think are going to help people out a lot. And just to start out, if you like this video, throw it a like. If you like this live stream, throw it a like. If you don't like it, it's better to have an opinion not to like it. If you have a story you want to share about your breakup, go to writemac.com. It's at the top of the list over here on the live stream, WRITEMAC.com. Send your story, and you can get my take in a YouTube video, or if you'd like to book a live coaching session, that's also available, where we could talk for an hour or 2 hours and fully unpack what's going on, and you can get my take and see if you can move forward with some clarity and some dignity. No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover is what we're going to dig into today. If you have a book that you want me to talk about in the future, maybe put it in the comments below or on the side notes. I have accumulated a lot of notes on good books, and I'm going to do this probably once or twice a week on the live stream because I think it's useful and helpful. Because a lot of times people go, oh, is this really a good book? Why is it a good book? The No More Mr. Nice Guy, the reason why it applies to so many people is they think what they're doing, they don't understand why they're getting rejected a lot and getting things that they don't want out of relationships. And a lot of times it's them being too nice, them being too passive is another word that I don't think is used often enough, because the idea that being nice is actually a positive thing, right? So it's kind of counterintuitive when someone goes, oh, you're being too nice. That's actually a compliment to a lot of human beings. And so people don't want to shed that snakeskin because they want people to tell them that they're nice. And somehow it doesn't work that easily in relationships, because in relationships, if you're too nice, when you really don't mean it or you think that it's going to get you something, that's when it causes problems. And that's what Robert Glover really gets to the bottom of in most of this. So I'm going to unpack this right now and go on a little notes flurry here. So the first quote, there are no perfect relationships. There are no perfect partners. Relationships, by their very nature, are chaotic, eventful, and challenging. What a few words to describe that. Chaotic, eventful, and challenging. I would say that what I would add to that is that relationships are moment to moment. A lot of times by putting a title like we're boyfriend and girlfriend, we're partners, we're married, this is my wife, somehow people lose track of the fact that you're still going to have ups and downs. You're still going to hate them from time to time or dislike them or be upset with them. You're still going to have times when you think about not being with them. That's human nature. And so there's a lot of negotiations that go on in relationships. I don't know if he used that word, but I believe there is no perfect relationship. I would agree. Saying that, I'm sure there's people out there in the world that go, oh, no, me and my partner are just perfect. And that's just an interpretation of the word perfect that's different from person to person. So No More Mr. Nice Guy is a 2003 self-help book by Dr. Robert A. Glover. I would say that it's a little bit more than a self-help book. I would say that it's a book that's specifically targeted at helping men, and it's a relationship-based book also. So I would take that a little bit step further. He describes what he calls the nice guy syndrome. This syndrome is a condition in men who appear to be always nice and try to avoid conflict. I think that a lot of people don't regard being a nice guy with trying to avoid conflict, but it is a bit different than just being nice, right? Avoiding conflict at any cost puts you in a situation where you sacrifice getting what you want or saying what you want in the name of just not wanting to argue over it. And I've actually been that way in the past in my life myself. The book reveals the truth about the stereotypical nice guy, why modern society has created so many of them, why they fail to get the relationships and career success they crave, how to take back your life in an honest, non-manipulative way without becoming a jerk. And I think that's one of the biggest fears of people or men that consider themselves a nice guy or have been labeled a nice guy, is that they're worried that I don't want to be an asshole. I don't want to be a jerk. I take it as a compliment that I'm nice. The reality is, how is it working out for you? Are you getting good results in your romantic life? Are you getting good results in negotiating a good job? That's the question you need to ask yourself. And I don't think he's suggesting that you need to be a jerk or an asshole, but you need to be more straightforward, direct, and honest with what it is you want. So, what is a nice guy? Good question. Let me just take a look at the live stream today. We got one on deck. This is an interesting time slot, so I'm not surprised. A nice guy is a man who doesn't think he can be his true self. He feels like he has to hide his true intentions to get what he wants, resulting in dysfunctional relationships. He also manages his anxiety and his need to please others in passive-aggressive ways. So passive-aggressive ways would be saying something that is negative, but then acting like, oh, I was just joking. That's a big one for passive-aggressive people, is saying like, wow, you got a really ugly haircut. And then someone goes, wow, you really wanted to say that to me? And the person goes, oh, I was just joking. I'm just kidding around. You know, I'm just joking, right? That's passive-aggressive. Someone might go, someone throws out a negative comment and then retracts from it. Or they make a stand on something and then they pull back. They never go all in on what it is they believe in. And we all, actually, myself included, can be passive-aggressive at times, because a lot of times society sways us from being in a combative way. And certain cultures certainly don't like to be in fights as much as others, or arguments. A nice guy has covert contracts. This is one of my favorite parts or elements to the book, this covert contract. I actually talk about this a lot when I deal with coaching. And when you're aware of what a covert contract is, it's basically an assumption about what you'll get back if you do something for someone else. That's right. You're not truly selfish, so you give to get. So the reality is, what he means by a covert contract, somewhere along the lines, this is at the core of a lot of guys' issues when they break up that are nice guys. They go through all the good things they did for the woman, and they somehow think it adds up to the woman owing them something. And the reality is, when you do something nice for someone, they actually don't owe you anything. Everything's not reciprocal. And if someone believes that they're getting something along with being passive aggressive and creating covert contract, you're putting yourself in a situation to be disappointed, to have contempt, and to be bitter. The reality is, a covert contract's one of those things. Well, if I do this for her, if I take out the garbage, and I give her a foot massage tonight, maybe she'll sleep with me later on. That's a classic covert contract. And then if he gets denied, he's going to be really upset. But the reality is, he took the wrong route. He was passive aggressive, and he wasn't direct on what does he want. And he took a nice guy route. And here's the other thing I would add to covert contracts and nice guys. It is absolutely human nature, I believe, that most human beings will take advantage of another human being if they have the opportunity. That doesn't necessarily mean that they take advantage of them in a way to steal from them or to treat them as, to use them, which would be the extreme ways to take advantage of individuals. But people will take it, and taking advantage of a situation is just common human action. And so if you're in a long-term relationship and you allow yourself to be pushed around, you can't blame that individual later on for being pushy with you. The reality is, you allowed it, and you created it by being a part of it, and you never stood up for yourself. The three universal covert contracts are: if I'm a good guy, then everyone will love me and like me, and people I desire will desire me. Let me say that again. If I'm a good guy, then everyone will love me and like me, and people I desire will desire me. And the reality is some people don't like nice people, and we just talked about this last week on a live stream when Jessica was co-hosting, and I was asking her about nice guys and her opinion about nice guys, and she said she distrusts their intentions. It's almost like because they're so nice, she doesn't believe what they're saying, because everyone when they're being authentic and honest is not going to agree with you 100% because human beings have differences. So even if someone says, well, I just don't agree with that, or, you got to have an opinion. Number 2, if I meet other people's needs without them having to ask, then they will meet my needs without me having to ask. That's an assumption that will disappoint you again and again, because that's not how everyone operates. A lot of people put themselves first, and they're successful, kind, outgoing people. And if they don't operate the same way you do, and you somehow believe that they should be doing the same thing for you, you're going to be very disappointed. Number 3, if I do everything right, then I'll have a smooth, problem-free life. The question is, what is everything right? These 3 are also considered limiting beliefs since they aren't true, but nice guys believe they're true, which limit their potential. You will still meet people who dislike you no matter how nice you are. This is so true. I've been a teacher for years, and having different classes, I can tell you that some students are never going to like your class, no matter who you are, right? So the interesting thing about that is I've talked to other teachers that just started, and they're like, wow, there's a couple kids that really hate my class, or they said some rotten things. And I said, well, after you teach for a while, you just realize that if you have 30 students or 40 students, not everyone's going to like you. And you just got to be true to your approach and do the best you can. And I think the same thing applies to your relationships, is if you try to be someone you're not, and you've probably seen extreme cases of this, of friends, or when you were in school, or when you've worked with other people where someone's just trying too hard all the time. They never really reveal who they are, and people don't like that. People don't expect or realize they have to meet your needs if you meet yours. Don't expect or realize they have to meet your needs if you meet theirs, especially if you don't ask. And if you don't do everything right, life will still hand you tough blows. A successful person has to plan ahead and roll with the punches. So I think what he's saying here is you're never going to get it right every time, except the fact that you can get things wrong, and then improvise. He says roll with the punches. I would say improvise. Nice guys have common frustrations in life. They give so much and are mad they don't get enough back. I've come across this many, many times where during a breakup, a guy will say, I did this, this, and this for her, and I literally can't believe she broke up with me because I was so good to her. And the reality is, just because you believe that that's what you were and what you did, sometimes the idea of what you did that was, I'll give you an example. Christmas. I haven't celebrated Christmas in years. I've been away from Christmas because my family lives on a different continent currently. But and I work usually during Christmas time. But when you open up gifts, I've had this happen before because I've always been one that I like buying gifts for friends or family members. And I found myself thinking that my gift was creative or cool or really nice. And then someone opens it up and goes, "Oh, yeah, thanks." And they kind of just go, "Yeah, that's nice." And you think like, "Oh, wow. I thought you'd be, isn't that a great gift? Isn't that something so cool?" And some people just don't see it that way. And you thought you nailed it. You thought, "Wow, this was so thoughtful. This was so great." And I've had plenty of times where I've opened up gifts and I went, "Yeah, oh yeah, thanks, a pair of slippers." It's like, and they think those are great gifts. And that's kind of how your relationship goes sometimes. Sometimes you think you did something really great and grand, and in the other person's eyes, it's not that big a deal, and you have to deal with that. So they give so much and are mad they don't get enough back. They want to be appreciated, but they feel like they can never do enough. They wonder it will be their turn. They have a poor or zero romantic or intimate lives. They wonder when it will be their turn. So they have poor intimacy in their lives. One of the main themes of this book is the stereotypical nice guy isn't actually so selfless. That's really interesting, right? Because you'd think by being nice that you are going out of your way for other people. And I think the reality is you're doing it with a point. The incentive is hopefully you'll get recognized, you'll get attention, and you'll get what you want. But you're not being clear about your intentions. That's the problem. Let's move back here. They can mislead, manipulate, bend the truth with white lies, and do and say things, but only with the intention of getting something back in return. So are you just being nice because you just want to be nice, or are you being nice for a reason? And this comes up in breakups when someone goes, this is a big one. Mac, do you think I should contact my ex's parents because we were really good friends? We had a really good relationship? No. Well, what's your intention? Oh, I just want to see how her mom's doing, and wish her a Merry Christmas or a Happy Birthday. And then I'll ask again, what is your real intention? Do you believe that somehow by doing that you'll get your ex's attention? Maybe the parents will go to bat for you. Maybe they'll try to help you out. And then guys will usually tell me, sometimes women, it's like, yeah, I actually am kind of hoping for that secretly. And they don't even know they're doing it. And so in that case, you really don't want to wish her mom a Merry Christmas, but you're hoping for is somehow that mom will find you so kind and good-willed that she'll turn around your circumstances with the daughter. And that's just not true. They do and say things only with the intention of getting something back in return. The nice guy syndrome is, at its core, an anxiety and shame-based disorder. Everything a nice guy does is about managing his internal anxiety and how the world perceives him. He strives to maintain a constantly problem-free life, and keep the peace with everyone is an impossible task. You got to stand up for yourself sometimes. Sometimes they're scared of doing anything selfish for themselves to please others, which can backfire and drain their energy. Other times they're nice and do favors, but have an unspoken, unrealistic expectation that they will get something back if they do it. And this is where you can create complaining. Well, I did this, and this, and I can't believe this happened. Stop any passive-aggressive behavior. Passive-aggressive behavior is when you act aggressively towards someone in a passive way when they don't expect it or you can't explain themselves. Being passive is always bad. Being passive-aggressive is always bad. If you believe you should always please your mother no matter what, as many nice guys do, she becomes the center of your world and may chain you down. When the work becomes too much and you start neglecting activities you enjoy in other relationships, you may lash out in passive-aggressive ways. It could be a backhanded verbal attack with a sticky note or a sudden outburst days after she wronged you. So what's happening here is that by not conveying your true feelings in the moment, it's going to bubble up in other areas. And at some point, you're going to burst, and it's going to be worse. Women are put off severely by unpredictable passive-aggressive behavior. It's uncomfortable to always be on their toes, not knowing when the next eruption will happen. I think it's better if you have a problem with your partner, ask good questions, and if you need to have it out over something, you need to have an argument, have one argument, get really clear on why you're upset, have your points, and then seal that argument. Doesn't necessarily have to be with a complete apology from her end or whatnot, but be very clear about what you're upset about, and then don't continue to bring it up. Nice guys don't finish last. They rot in middle management. Be honest with your sexuality, hiding sexual shame and hitting on her without seeming like I'm hitting on her. So what he's saying here is if you're going to flirt or you're going to convey interest. Don't go half-assed with it. Many nice guys assume that they have to conceal any signs of interest with a girl due to their sexual shame. Dr. Glover replies with, but you are hitting on her. He says you should make your intentions clear. You shouldn't be scared of hiding your sexuality because as men, that is what you do. You shouldn't feel ashamed of hitting on a woman because it's normal, masculine process, and you are interested in her, and that's why you're talking to her. By hiding this, you are reducing or eliminating all chances of romance with the girl by misleading her. Then most guys react by swinging to the other end of the spectrum and asking, so you're saying I have to go over to her and say I want to have intimacy with her? And Dr. Glover responds with saying that you don't have to be that crass. You can be tactful and polite about it. For example, how about starting with a compliment about her dress or her jewelry? You don't have to be a jerk. I don't know that tipping point between two dysfunctional extremes, Dr. Robert Glover, quote unquote, initially to the book by saying, what's wrong with being a nice guy? Are you telling me I should be a jerk? Dr. Glover asserts that being an asshole is just as bad a dysfunction as the nice guy, rather than using flight to run from anxiety. Assholes fight to manage anxiety. Instead, the answer is in the middle. Be the tender defender, someone who is assertive and kind with proper timing and degree. I think you pick your spots, right? There's certain things you need to stand up for yourself. There's certain things that you need to be understanding and compassionate about. Ask her what you want. One of Dr. Glover's clients was frustrated with not getting enough intimacy, and he was told to simply ask his spouse for more. When he did, he was surprised to hear her say yes. It turns out that she assumed he wasn't interested or too busy. Nice guys get so caught up in finding indirect ways of getting what they want that their message gets lost, and they end up assuming that the other party won't agree to a direct request when that isn't true. Do something you enjoy. Dr. Glover also recommends dedicating time on a reoccurring basis to doing something that you enjoy, regardless of whether it will help someone else or if it's productive. Nice guys are often workaholics or only do stuff to help others, but they burn out or explode with resentment like a bottled up shaken soda because of the friction of doing too much they don't enjoy for others. Hang out with other masculine men is one of his other, so if you got some Navy SEAL friends, go for that. There are more and more nice guys than ever before, since boys grow up being taught mainly by women and have fewer zero male role models. Now, men are absent because of divorce, business travel, or death, and most of the teachers in school are female. I would say that was true at the schools I went to. Yeah, I would say there's probably 60 to 70% at least. Also, modern societies are forsaking spiritual male rites of passage and rituals that all men used to have to go through because of the lack of masculine role models. Young men don't learn essential masculine traits like assertiveness and base their behavior off the feminine traits they see. To cure this, create or hang out in more social groups that are 100% men. While there's a benefit to hang around females to see from a different perspective and learn how they think and interact, hanging only in female groups all the time will cause problems. What to look for to find the right wife? What a question. So let's just check out the live stream. We've got 2 on deck right now. Let me know if you're listening out there. So, what to look for to find the right wife? The divorce rate is high. Wow, that's a news flash, isn't it? We all know this. No doubt some of the cause has to do with choosing women for the wrong reasons. Men usually gravitate to how great a woman looks first and consider personality or other factors as an afterthought to their detriment. Never try to get a woman to like you or be with you. You'll end up putting up with more than you should in a relationship. That's a great statement. You probably won't be happy. So trying trying to get someone means that you are going to probably overcompensate and do things that go against your values that you'll regret later on. And you won't have boundaries. As you're dating, find out a woman's nature. This is a great statement. Something men fail to do because they're working too hard to get a woman to like them. Find a woman that aligns as much with you, with your passions and your purpose. So I just had a client recently that's a police officer, and I believe the woman he was dating was becoming one also. I wonder, by having the same career, like if you're both lawyers, you're both teachers, you're both police officers, how much that helps, or if that does hurt things at times. But aligns as much with your passion or purpose, I would say supports it also. I'm a big believer that I think that, I don't know if it's always true that opposites attract, but that opposites can help puzzle pieces fill in better in a relationship, where maybe you have some things that are your weaknesses that they can help out with because they're good at them. See how she will fit into your life, not how you will fit into hers. Bring her around your friends to see if they notice something you don't. Take her in a lot of different situations in your life: public transportation, camping, salsa, and so forth. See if she treats people well. That's a big statement right there. I would say, out of the notes I have here, see if she treats people well is a simple statement. Someone say, oh yeah, that should be one. But I've noticed in my life, in dating and having girlfriends, how someone treats other people, whether that's a waiter, person at a fast food restaurant, family and friends, the way they talk about their family and friends. You're next. So if someone has a way of putting other people down, it's one thing to talk about. I believe it's one thing to talk about things or talk about people's problems that you care about or joke around. It's another thing to be mean. Or to look like you're above other people. Find out if she is generous to others. At the top of Robert's list is someone who treats people well, intelligent, and has a sense of humor. So keep in mind, whenever someone that's an author, that's an expert, they're just like every other human being. That's at the top of Robert's list. So that's what he looks for. I would say treats people well and intelligent and has a sense of humor would be on most people's list. And I would say, yeah, put that at the top of the list, mixed in with a good-looking woman, right? I found his priorities interesting because those are the top 3 traits women look for, universally based on scientific research. So that was in my notes also. You can see beauty straight away, and it fades over time. You know, that's an interesting statement, because beauty doesn't just fade. It's fleeting. In other words, someone can look really good in a day, and the next day, if they have the flu or they had, a relative pass away, they can look like shit because they're not feeling well. So it doesn't just fade over time. Beauty is in and out, and it's also one of those things that needs to be worked on. So if a woman wants to keep a good look, she needs to go to the gym, she needs to go do yoga, have healthy habits. That would tie into how long her looks would stay crisp and how much she cares about looks. Don't choose a woman for beauty, for ego. Other personality traits last forever, and you probably don't want to be around someone who doesn't treat others well. So he comes back to that multiple times, and I agree. The book comes with dozens of detailed, time-tested exercises for overcoming your nice guy tendencies. Dr. Glover has helped thousands do it. With any book, you haven't got a bulk of positive impact it provides until you've done all exercises in it. Here are some of the exercises he recommends. So this is actually useful, right? Write 3 safe people or groups that can provide support for you in your recovery from nice guy syndrome. If you can't think of any, look up counselors or support groups in local directories, or consider an employee assistance program. Search up to 12-step groups or support groups online. If you know someone who has been one, ask for information, write down 3 names and numbers, and call them now. Being more open-minded in what support groups you'd be willing to attend. Any general adult anxiety support group could be enough. You could expand even broader if you're really having trouble finding anything in your area. I'm considering going to a food addicts group, even though it isn't my problem, just to have real support group who I can talk to. So this was a group of notes that I pulled offline. I'm not going to a food addicts group. Never had a problem with being addicted to food. But this is an example that's put on some notes. Something is often better than nothing, and one big point Dr. Glover emphasized constantly is that you don't and shouldn't have to do it alone. I would, these groups that he recommends, if you don't want to do that as an alternative, I would talk to a coach, whether that's me or someone else. I think that's a good alternative if you don't want to go see counseling or you don't want to go see psychotherapy. Ask yourself, why would it seem rational for someone to try to eliminate or hide things about him and try to be something different unless there was a compelling reason? Ask yourself, why would it seem rational for someone to try to eliminate or hide things about him and try to be something different unless there was a compelling reason? Why do people try to change who they are? Take some time and think about that. Is your behavior or that someone you know? For me, it's about not getting what you want. If you reveal how you are, take relationships. Maybe a pretty girl may not like a dorky, skinny, shy guy, so lifting weights and a false act of charisma is adopted. Realize it's not necessary to uncover every experience that makes you feel unsafe or bad, but some understanding of where a life script originated is helpful in changing the script. How are they similar to your own childhood experiences? Write down or illustrate the messages you receive in your family that seem to imply that it wasn't okay for you to be who you were. Share these experiences with a safe person. How do you feel? Do you feel sad, angry, lonely, numb? Share this too. Name rather than blame. Blaming keeps you stuck. Naming these childhood experiences allows you to replace those messages with more accurate ones and change your script. So let's take a look here. Look over this list. Note any ways you seek approval. Add to the list any examples that are uniquely you. Write down examples of each. Ask others for feedback on ways you seek approval. Having one's hair just right, being smart, appearing unselfish, being different from other men, staying sober, being in good shape, being a great dancer, being a good lover, never getting angry, being a good worker, having a clean car, dressing well, being nice, respecting women, never offending anyone, making other people happy, having a pleasant, non-threatening voice. So these are all things that are mentioned. Nice guys lack push and pull, positive emotional tension. After 2 decades of coaching nice guys, Dr. Glover discovered a concept he calls positive emotional tension. This is a core part of the interaction that a nice guy fails to include in an interaction, which leads to the friend zone, a scarcity of dates or marriages going stale. That's because women sometimes need tension to feel attraction. With PET, positive emotional tension, women feel that spark that keeps the relationship fresh. When you do PET correctly, you shouldn't be lying, manipulating, or being someone you're not. The tension should not make the woman feel bad either. That would be negative emotional tension. It's what assholes do. Some dating coaches refer to this as push and pull. This is about standing up for your opinions and values when appropriate, not being too predictable all the time, and honestly expressing who you are and what you want. And finally, the conclusion goes with choose a woman who chooses you. I don't know if I like that statement, but that's by David Dida. So that's the book by Dr. Robert Glover. Please put in the comments below what you think of that book. And if you'd like me to do another book in the future, this is going to be something I do quite regularly. So I hope that helps you. If you're looking for help with your breakup, to unpack that fully, go to writemac.com, send your story in, or book a live coaching session. Thank you.